The afternoon sun coated the hills in a vibrant variety of greens. The trees swayed gracefully as a gentle wind swept through the valley. Some of these hills were rather noisy as a result of the many sheep wandering about and munching away on tall grass. Not all of the area was sloped up and down low. There was a notable amount of flat ground, covered in a mixture of earth and stone. A thin platform stood to one side, with a curved edge, and beyond that, a wooden rotten gate left open. It was this gate that an old man and his black dog walked through. The man himself had dressed in a long brown coat and a dark grey bucket hat. In his right hand, a walking stick, which he held tightly as he stumbled along. They made their way onto the platform and came to a stop. From there, the man surveyed his surroundings. Ignoring the noisy sheep, the area was vacant. No other human soul was present, and hadn't been for a long time. He sighed heavily at the overgrowth. It wasn't always like this. Once upon a time, this was a small yard with an engine shed of a little railway that stretched into the hills and mountains. It was common to hear long echoing whistles in the valleys and the clattering of wagons filled with minerals from nearby mines passing through. Where he stood now was a station with its own little shelter for passengers, though that seemed to have been taken away. The man gazed at a particular hill. Yes, he thought. Yes, that's where the sheds used to be. Engines stayed there at the end of every day and be ready for the following morning. Cleaners would come along to scrub them down as best they could, while their crews started them up. Firemen shoveled coal furiously as drivers pulled the whistle chains and drove their iron horses off to their first trains. He would know. He had been one of them. Right up to the end of the railway's life, he worked with every single one of those little engines, from the worst to the best. The green one was his favourite, always full of life and optimism he was. He smiled at that, knowing that engine, as well as another, was still around. They were on another railway further east now, and from what he heard, they were well looked after. It had been on his mind to pay that line a visit. Perhaps they would remember him. Hopefully, he'd be able to do it soon. He was preparing to walk on when he saw his dog acting strangely. She usually couldn't stand still when outside, and was always sniffing for something. Presently, however, she was completely still and made no sound. She glared intently at the hill where the shed used to be, or perhaps still stood. It was as if she was sensing the presence of something, or someone, in that area. Was it the sheep? They haven't bothered her before. What could she feel that he couldn't? Sighing again, the man looked away. "Come on now," he called to the dog. "That's enough reminiscing for one day." Now out of her trance, the dog followed her owner as they stepped off the platform and continued their walk along the trackbed. Eventually, they turned onto a footpath, and the once bustling railway was far behind them. The sheep had also moved on to other patches of grass. And now, where once a railway stood, was empty. Only the howling wind kept it company, as it continued to be consumed by time and nature.